All right, guys, we're back for chapter 4 of Freckle Juice. Remember, Andrew went to school and he did not like it when his mom checked his neck and behind his ears to see if he washed. He didn't like washing behind his neck and his ears, and he thought if he had freckles, his mom wouldn't know if his neck was dirty or not. And he wanted freckles just like Nicky Lane because he had a lot of them. And Sharon said, I have a secret recipe for freckle juice. And at first, Andrew Marcus wasn't sure if he should believe her. But then he thought about it and he thought, that must be why no one in my family has freckles. They don't know the secret recipe for freckle juice. And so he decided to take 5 dimes from his bank and pay her 50 cents for the freckle juice recipe. When they went to school, remember, he gave her the 50 cents. And she gave him the note during class, and he accidentally dropped it. But Miss Kelly was nice and gave it back to him at the end of the day. And he ran home as fast as he could. He kept the secret recipe in his shoes so it wouldn't get lost. Went to Mrs. Burroughs' house to get the key from his mom and ran home and started mixing up the freckle juice. And it was awful. It tasted awful. But the directions said he had to drink it, and he had to drink it fast. And so he held his nose, tilted his head back, and gulped it down as fast as he could. And boy, did that make him feel sick. He really thought he was going to be sick, but he knew if he threw up, he wouldn't get freckles. So he tried really hard just to hold it in. He went into his mom's room with his bellyache and sat down in front of the mirror and waited to see the freckles come. And now we're ready to start chapter 4. Pretty soon something happened all right. Andrew turned greenish and felt very sick. His stomach hurt. At 4 o'clock, Mrs. Marcus came home. So here he is feeling sick in this story. And here he is. Oops. There we go. Here he is feeling sick in this story. And I'll show you the other picture in just a minute. Don't worry. So Mrs. Marcus came home. Yoo-hoo, Andrew. Where are you? She called. Andrew heard her, but he couldn't answer. He was too weak. He made a small noise. Andrew Marcus, is that you? His mother stood in the doorway of her bedroom. There she is. What are you doing in here? I told you to play outside. And why didn't you change your clothes? Didn't I say to change your clothes? Andrew made another noise. Mrs. Marcus looked at his face. Andrew, you're green. Absolutely green. Are you sick? And here's his mom, trying to see if he's sick or not. Andrew nodded. He was afraid if he opened his mouth, he'd lose the freckle juice. What hurts? Mrs. Marcus asked, feeling his forehead. Andrew moaned and held his stomach. Oh my, appendicitis! You must have appendicitis! I'm going to go to call the doctor. No, I'd better just drive straight to the hospital. No, I'll call the ambulance. So you might be wondering what appendicitis is. Your appendix is something that's a very small organ inside your body, and it's something that we don't use, but sometimes it can get sick. Doesn't happen very often, but if it does, you have to go to the hospital and they take it out. So she says, no, I'll call the ambulance. Andrew shook his head, but his mother didn't notice. She said, don't move. I'm going into the kitchen to phone. I'll be right back. And the reason she had to go to the kitchen is this book was written before there were cell phones, and so she had to go to the kitchen where there was a telephone. Andrew rolled around moaning. Mrs. Marcus came back to her bedroom in a hurry. Andrew Marcus, I've just seen that mess in the kitchen. Did you or did you not make something and eat it? Uh-oh. He forgot to clean up. Now she knew. Well, he didn't care. His stomach was killing him. Well, young man, I'm surprised at you. Surprised! Mrs. Burroughs offered you milk and cookies and you refused. Then you came home and made yourself, and I don't know what and scared me half to death thinking you had appendicitis. I always thought you were more sensible, Andrew. I just can't believe it. Andrew closed his eyes. Now, young man, you are going to bed. Andrew thought that was the best idea he had heard in a long time. Mrs. Marcus gave him 2 teaspoons full of pink stuff that tasted like peppermint. Then she tucked him into bed. Maybe the freckles would come out while he was sleeping. Right now, he didn't care much if they ever came out. He hated Sharon. She'd done it on purpose, just to get his 50 cents. He'd show her. She'd be sorry someday. He drifted off to sleep. He had terrible dreams. A big green monster made him drink 2 quarts of Freckle juice 3 times a day. Every time he drank it, the monster got freckles, but Andrew didn't. And if you notice, the monster looks like Sharon. And remember, we said the word hated because it was in the story. That's not a word that we use. That's a strong word. Oops, hold on. There's another picture in this book. There we go. And here's the Sharon monster in this book. Andrew woke up sweaty. His stomach still felt funny. His mother gave him 2 more spoonfuls of that pink stuff, and he fell asleep again. The next day, Andrew stayed home from school. He only looked in the mirror once. No freckles. He wasn't surprised. He wasn't ever going back to school. Sharon wasn't going to see him without freckles. She thought she was so great. Well, she wasn't going to get the chance to laugh at him. No, sir. But the following day, his mother woke him up and sang, "Time for school, rise and shine. Don't forget to wash your neck and behind your ears." She pulled the covers off him. "I'm not going to school today," Andrew said. "I'm never going to school again." He hid his head under his pillow. "So I've got a school dropout in 2nd grade. We'll have to do something about that. Here are your clothes. I want to see you up and dressed before I count to 15, or you're going to take 3 baths a day, every day, for the next 10 years. Andrew got dressed. He ate a breakfast bun and drank some milk, but he couldn't let Sharon get away with it. He had to do something. Okay, and so here's the picture of him. I don't think that, yeah, here's the picture of him eating his breakfast. And that's the end of chapter 4. And we'll see you next time for chapter 5. Bye, guys.